Hello, fine people. This is the monk from the Great White North. I'm here with my trusty chocolate husky, and we're going to be talking today about the KiwiEars Quartet that I bought. I like purple. I like KiwiEars, so I bought them. I got them for like $10 off the Linsole special, so I got them for $100 US. And I even bought had a custom made cable for it. Let's talk about the KiwiEars Quartet. I have the cadenza. I had the Orchestra Light, which I kind of gave that one a lukewarm review. I kind of thought it was missing on both ends, and that was kind of interesting, actually. So the Quartet, this one here is using the 2 dynamic drivers and 2 balanced armatures in this bad boy. The DDs are like a titanium coated dynamic drivers. I think they're both 10 millimeters, and then there's one custom balanced armature for mids and one custom balanced armatures for highs. So what does that mean? Well, and as you may or may not be familiar with these guys, there is 2 tuning switches right there, and the positions say 1, 2 on. So that's when I'm referring to either up, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. I burned them in for a while again, like I normally do. I tip rolled, I cable rolled, and found that a pure SPC cable is probably a great choice. This was the nice HCK cable, that Japanese copper cable. Was the best pairing. I tried it with the factory cable as well. No difference in cable sound, so impressions will stay the same, except for when I use mine, it was in 4.4 balanced. In my sources off of my Samsung S22 Ultra, I tried the Shanling UP5. I tried the Truthier Shiro. And then, of course, right off my Hibby Gen 3 R6, and few desktop stack downstairs, and up in my desk the Gishelli J2 AKM and the topping A90D. So went through the full gamut of all of it. 2 things of note: if you're buying a cadenza or a Quartet, they like pure copper cables. That's what I'd recommend. And I would also say for warmer sources as well. So power-wise, again, with those 2 dynamic drivers, to get them up to slam, then put some power to them. I don't think they would run. I mean, they run off a little dongle, but not straight off your phone, if anybody still has a phone with an output. So just talking about those 4 positions, the down up, that was the one that I say was, and this is going to be kind of overall, and I'll get into more of that later, but I find that there was no happy place for me for any of these 4 positions to not have a certain amount of splashiness in the hand. You could definitely tell that the balanced armatures were of lesser quality. I think what happened, honestly, here is there was probably a fight between the bean counters and the tuners, or the engineers. The engineers said, I want to have nulls. And the bean counter says, can't do it for $100. Find something else. So they did the best they could, but you can hear the difference between a Knowles BA or a Sonyan BA and whatever is in this one. And that really plays into effect. and obviously the bean counters won. Overall, I mean, the 4 switches, there's a certain amount of splashiness. Someone else described these as crunchy in the high end, and I would agree with that as well. And not every song, that's for sure. And it really depends on the switches and the position. And I'll put up a graph, and you can see how the that changed in the high end for those 4 positions. So. And it also did kind of affect the bass as well, only because you get more or less perception in the upper mid range, which you kind of translate, your ear's brain translates to more or less bass as well. So, but the tuning switches do work. Unfortunately, not to get rid of the harshness. The overall, I mean, for me, the DU position, that was the most splashy. Definitely not my favorite. Up, down, that one was the high end's really muted. Bass is saturated. Down, down. Male vocals a bit thinner. Female vocals sound better. You can still hear BA timbre throughout. There is coherence, some splashiness, missing some upper mids, and the sound just really is disconnected. Like on the Tea Party, really you can just bring out the timbre and the splashiness. I think overall I ended up with up as my most favorite position. It was definitely better for sibilants. It was a tad thick for male vocals, and again, females a lot. The bass hits fast on this position. As you reduce any of the high frequencies, you're going to get less and less stage presence as well. And I, again, used the JVC FX10 spiral dots for the widest stage I could try and get. But here again, instrument placement was poor. Overall, like soundstage, really two-dimensional. I get width. I just don't get any depth. Like you can really hear that in stuff like Joe Satriani, where he has a track dedicated to All My Friends Are Here, where he overlaid the track where he's playing in the back, and then there's a left and right that should be way forward, and it just sounds like it's playing on the same level with like the depth wise. So I guess there's if you haven't heard an IEM with BA timbre, then you would. This isn't the worst case of it, but you can definitely tell. And that's a lot of that's mitigated with, maybe some tips, some cable, and some sources, but you got to do a lot of work to get there. Just talking about some tracks that I kind of were the standout evil contenders. U2, Where the Streets Have No Name. It's a great track. It's you can hear the bass bleed. Sibilants is shouty. There is no doubt. Like some people say, it doesn't have any of that. I would have to disagree. I can hear it. Phil Collins, I don't care anymore. So here's where it's just basically drums and male vocals, and that sounded great. But you go to Metallica like S&M 2, where you should be able, this is the live version, where you should be able to hear massive venue, and you just don't get any of that sense. Stuff like where Massive Attack, where it goes low, the low droning. It's just kind of funny, is the Quartet, it doesn't really actually go that low for me. I mean, I've heard much better replays of that, but it's very fast. The bass is the standout, really, of the Quartet on certain switches. Hani Irani, the piano, where you're listening for her, the piano weight and stuff like that. Even all instruments, I found some just it's just missing some of the naturalness and the weight to make it sound realistic. Yes, it plays it all, but it doesn't do it in a way that a piano should sound like a piano, or does this piano sound like it should with this track I'm very familiar with? And I would have to say no, it doesn't get it correct. Um, the quartet with the up, I mean, again, this I thought was the best of the tuning switches. The bass is fast. It really is lovely. It just doesn't extend to the lowest. And there is slam in the mid bass. Like, wow. Sometimes too much, and it bleeds into the vocals and instruments on certain songs, and it's not just a little bit; it's actually quite noticeable. In the mids, they're darker, they're recessed, and this is kind of what happens to the quartet. Is it there? It almost seems like there's a disconnect between the bass and then where the upper mids are recessed and they're dark, and then you get this high end treble and sibilance, and it kind of creates an effect where it's like boom boom tss, boom boom tss, and there's a coherence between the drivers that is certainly probably one of, I'm going to say, one of the worst that I heard, where you can hear the different drivers doing their thing, but they don't all play together nicely. That's the best way I'm going to describe that. In the upper mids, just seems like it's missing a lot of information. Like it's almost like it's scooped out. That's what it sounds like to me. And the highs get splashy, crunchy, sibilant on certain songs, and it's really quite noticeable. And the instrument tonality, accuracy, instrument placement. Again, if you maybe had this on the highest treble setting, you would mitigate some of that thing, but it would also bring out more of the sibilance as well. So, I mean, I guess if you're not sensitive to that and you're okay with that, then these might be okay for you. But overall, for me, that's what I heard. I just couldn't get to a happy place with the quartet where I couldn't just sit back and chill and relax and enjoy the music. I didn't get there. And it was really too bad, because I really love these purple ones, and I they're so beautiful. I mean, what a gorgeous design. I wish, I don't know about the tuning switches either. Really, pick a tuning, tune it well, but pick proper drivers. Like your two dynamics in here, KiwiEars, fabulous, great stuff, great tuning, but maybe put a Sonyan BA for mids and put a Knowles high. You would have made a wonderful IAM. You would have made a Pen-On fan too, is what you would have made. But you needed to also, I mean, I think if you're trying to hit a price point, you hit that price point, but is it worth $100? I don't know, because the coherency and the splashiness would turn a lot of people off. This is something as much as I love the look and feel of these sets, that I'll probably pass these along because I won't be listening to them. So that was my impressions of the KiwiEars Quartet. I just responded to another. There's a lot of mixed reviews out there right now for this one. And there was a lot of hype too. And I think people are starting to come around, because The KiwiEars Quartet is just not that impressive. Not in the $110 bracket. You could clearly see where they cut corners, and the balanced armatures for one, no stainless steel nozzle. I think KiwiEars Quartet hit the nail on the head for looks, cosmetics, packaging, all that stuff is well done. But when it comes down to the sound, I mean, at any one time, depending on the tuning switches, you either get bass that is bleeds into the mids and washes vocals out, or you get an excess of crunchiness and sibilant treble. And take your choice on the tuning switches. Do you want shouty treble, or that kind of bass? The staging goes from below average to average, but that again depends on the tuning switches. And if you're going to turn up the highs, you're also going to get an excess of the effects that I was talking about. So you just, as you dial it up and you get more highs, yes, you get more stage and you can get more image separation and stuff, but at the expense of just crunchiness and harshness in the top end. So I wouldn't say the KiwiEars Quartet is good for just any one kind of library, and I definitely wouldn't say it's good for all libraries. It's I just think they missed the mark on this one too. The looks are there, but not the sound. So overall, how would you describe the KiwiEars Quartet Monk? Well, I would say on up, that's your best bet for happy medium of tunings. I would say you're going to get some very fast bass slam. I am going to say that you have clean vocals for most of the part, male and female. On the UU up position, the sibilance, the splashiness comes out in a few songs that I've listened to my track test playlist. And that's really the overall of the quartet. Just a kind of non-balanced, sibilant, splashy, incoherent presentation for $100. It's been a while since I did a video, and that's because career busy, life busy, and so I haven't had much time to do these things, but I've got a whole bunch of IEMs sitting here that I'm going to start listening to and doing my impressions. So I thank you for now, and greatly appreciate you watching.